Hello, this is Zelda1 making a new video review. I have come to notice that I have only made the reviews for the Revoltech Evangelion Evolution line. However, since I have practically every other EVA, I'm going to be reviewing them in lots. Today I'm going to review the two figures that were released along with Evangelion 1.0 back many years ago. The 1.0 mold includes only Evangelion Unit 00 and Evangelion Unit 1, as well as the Revoltech Extra that was the Positron sniper rifle and the ESB. I'm going to be talking about that later. So, these two figures, numbers 32 and 33, from Revoltech and the Yamaguchi line, were released, I think, in 2008 or 2007. I'm not quite sure. The design of the box was still a lot like those of the TV series and the End of Evangelion figure set that included Eva Unit 2 and the mass production Evangelions. It's a very short box. The figure is still drawn with its name and number on the side. A lot of posing work on the back and a clear window to see what's inside. So I'm going to be reviewing them together because since they have both the same sculpt, it will be easier than to make a separate review for each of them. So these are the two figures of the Rebuild 1.0 mold. They both come with a black Revoltech base of those of old that only came with one extension and one joint to plug on the back of the EVA. These ones don't have normally on the base of the hip around the EVA's butt there is a hole to put the peg and pose it. Otherwise you have to use the space for the umbilical cable, which also comes with both of these figures. Obviously, using the base for an action pose like jumping or running, you cannot use the cable on them because the hole is occupied for that. They also come with a bit of publicity that listed all of the Revoltechs existing so far, which were surprisingly few. Now we're about the 120th or something. So I'm going to review the joints on these figures. They are a lot like those of the Neon Genesis Evangelion mold that included the first 6 EVAs seen on the TV series. We have this problem, at least on mine. The neck of Eva 00 is very loose. I sometimes can't make it stand on a certain pose because it just falls like that. So I don't know if anyone else has this problem, but it is something to be on the lookout for. So they have one articulation in the shoulder, one in the elbow, and one on the wrist that joins to the hand. EVA Unit 1 is slightly different. We see that since it has the pylons, you have to rotate them accordingly to keep them from touching the EVA. The pylon is held in place like those of the TV series version of these figures, so they are being held in place by two smaller pegs that can be removed by moving the EVA's arm to a certain position and then pulling. Now these were the first figures to include a middle joint, a covered middle joint. We see that the white piece and the green piece on EVA Unit 1, they are separate from the hip and from the chest. Beneath them there is a Revoltech joint that allows a lot of movement compared to the Neon Genesis figures. We can see here the EVA can go a lot to the back and to the front without losing that organic feel that they are supposed to have. The Neon Genesis Evangelion figures had the joint exposed, and it looks kind of ugly, but anyway. The leg articulation on these EVAs is just like those of the Neon Genesis Evangelion figures. There is one articulation that is not being held in place by a joint that allows it to raise its leg, another one that allows it to twist it. There is one double joint on the knee of the EVA. I say double joint because it is actually a Revoltech double joint like this one. Since it is halfway into the leg on both sides, it really is hidden and looks very nice. I think this is the knee that I have liked the most on any Revoltech figure, mostly because it looks as if it is part of the sculpt, but also because you don't have the joint bulging on the other side. On the round normal joints like this one make the knees of the EVA look very big and disproportionate. So the last joint is this one on the foot that allows it to move. On the Neon Genesis Evangelion models, we had this tiny ankle guard, I think it would be, was held in place at the base of the foot and at the bottom of the leg, just above the ankle. Now it has an independent range of motion that was not achieved on the Neon Genesis Evangelion models, that could push the foot only so far because the holder for this piece on the bottom of the leg would hold it there, and you couldn't move the foot any further. So each of these EVAs comes with 10 hands that can be removed and reattached via the joint at the end of the arm. They basically have the same. There are fists, one to hold the rifles, another one that would be considered as relaxed palms and open palms. We see that they have the same type of hands. Oh, and there is another one on the EVA now that is sort of like grasp. So now I'm going to be reviewing the extras that come with each of the figures. Starting with EVA Unit 0, we have the already common pallet gun. There's nothing new on this one except maybe for a bit of a new detail that is not present on the NG version of these guns. Interestingly, this EVA Unit 1 is the only Unit 1 from Revoltech that does not come with one of these. So EVA 00 comes with this large Gatling gun. It is actually used by EVA Unit 1 on the movie, but it was placed on the EVA Unit 0 package, in part to make it sell, in part because there is no space on the box of Unit 1. I have to say, it is nicely sculpted, but the lack of color detail makes it kind of boring. I have to say the Robot Damashi version of this piece of equipment is much better sculpted. I think the ammo drum can be detached and the barrels can actually spin. They really did not place a lot of effort on this, especially because back then they didn't have a lot of competition. To put the hand of the EVA on this, you have to slide this part and then place the appropriate gun holding hand inside, like like this. Once it's inside, you just have to close it, and it looks as if the Eva opened its hand to hold the gun. Of course, then there is a problem with the position on which the joint should end, but that is another unimportant detail. So the last extra that comes with Unit 0 is this pair of swords. This is like the third or fourth time that swords come with one of these EVAs, and well, to be completely honest, I don't know why they keep putting them in. I think only in video games of Evangelion do EVA use these things. They are still a nice addition. They make them look kind of badass, but well, anyway, I guess that they had to fill the box. So the extras of EVA Unit 1 are more in the side of the gimmick than on any other. The only weapon that actually comes with Unit 1 is this progressive knife. It is a new sculpt for the movies, and it is very nicely detailed actually. I really like it. You just have to put it on the holding hand, and there you go. With the progressive knife comes this little extra that it's supposed to be a bunch of sparks jumping out when the knife is cutting through something. I really don't see much use to this one, since there is no angel to pose the EVA with. Like other EVA Unit 1 figures, this one comes with a head with the open mouth on the Berserk mode. You just have to pull the EVA's head out and slide the new one in. There you go, a math EVA Unit 1. Now the first extra is a new piece for the pylon. We see that the pylon of the EVA can be split into parts like this. This is a gimmick that comes from the EVA Unit 2 from the end of Evangelion, that also came with an open pylon with the progressive knife out. Now the other piece that comes for the left pylon is this one. It looks just like the normal one, except in the fact that this one has a tiny piece here that it's supposed to be the handle of the progressive knife folded inside of the EVA's pylon. According to the box, you can take it out and leave a little hole there as to point out that the knife is out, but I have not figured out how, and I have not tried because I don't want to break it. Now, the last gimmick that comes with EVA Unit 1 is a different pylon that has to be placed on the EVA. For that, you have to pull out the EVA's arm like this, and you have to take out the joint of the shoulder. If you have these Revoltech pliers, they come in real handy. Just like that, you pull it out. You're probably going to pull also a piece of the chest, and then you just have to slide out the normal pylon. You twist it to the EVA as if the arm were in, and then you just pull it out like this. You can see that there is the hole where the pylon is normally held, and the line that indicates where to pull the pylon. To install the new one, you don't push it in like this. You have to pull it inside from the outside of the EVA like this. In this way, you have to do it quickly because since it is smaller, the pegs will crush the paint and the plastic of the elbow, and you are probably going to damage it. So you have to do it quickly. You can put the back first on place, and then quickly pull the front piece to its position. So then you just install the joint again on the new arm, and then just slide the joint with the chest piece back to its position, so that you can have the tactical equipment pylon of EVA Unit 1. Now this pylon is supposedly the one used during Operation Yashima to help the EVA aim at the angel. We see that it comes with this tiny antenna that can spin and move a bit. It is quite small and it's not held in place by anything but this very tiny peg, so I'd recommend you to be careful with it. You don't want to lose it. And one of the main gimmicks of this piece of equipment is the aiming sensor visor. Well, it is a visor for the EVA. To install it, you have to pull the front part of the pylon out like this. There is some sort of half joint in here that slides in just like that. Then you put the new one here, and then you just have to position this into the EVA. It's kinda hard, I don't want to lose time on this, but I don't remember how this one goes. I think this side goes to the front like this, and oh yes, it's like this. Now, in addition to these two figures, Revoltech also sold an extra pack that was the Positron rifle and the ESV shield from the Rebuild of Evangelion movie. It is because they are too large to be included as a normal extra with the figures. And this set is actually very cheap. I found mine at about, I think it was $10 back a couple of years ago. They are cheaper now because I don't know if anyone else bought it. They are both quite detailed actually. I especially like the many details that they placed on the rifle, all the little colors, the cables, the holders, the bases. There are even a couple of tiny joints that allow the base of the figure like this to move. However, there are many small parts on this, so you just have to be careful or you're gonna break them. I actually have already broken the base of my rifle, so well, just be careful. I'm going to start with the shield. It is labeled ESV. It stands for Enchanted Shield of Virtue. That name, that appears to have been taken out of Disney's Sleeping Beauty, generated a lot of speculation about why the name, if it was just a homage to the movie or if it had a more obscure significance within this story, given that Evangelion is all about symbology and stuff. The back is as much detailed as the front. There are 4 handles for the EVA, none of which you can put a hand in. They are actually larger than the space that it's behind them, so the EVA can't just grab them. You have to be creative to hold this thing in place. On the back it reads to ESV, Enchanted Shield of Virtue, and I'm just going to put it here. And now the main part is the Positron rifle. Both the shield and the rifle came with the first EVA Unit 0 that got released. It was the yellow Unit 00 from Neon Genesis Evangelion. The rifle we see here is bigger than both of the figures. So here we have EVA Unit 0 and EVA Unit 1 with the respective weapons on Evangelion 1.0. So I'm reviewing these old figures just to make sure everyone makes an informed decision if trying to make a collection. These two figures are interesting because of the little innovations they brought into the general sculpt of EVAs, especially the separated middle joint on the below the chest, the double joint on the leg that was discontinued after the 2.0 mold, and the fact that the hands no longer seem awfully big for the EVAs as in the NGE figures. I'm going to be reviewing all the figures on these weeks, and you can check them and the comparison between them later. So this was Sele 1 making a video review, the Revoltech number 32 and 33, and the Revoltech Extra, the Positron rifle, and ESV. Visit my blog evaposters.blogspot.com, and thanks for watching.